Hey everyone, Alex Talander here, and welcome to our bonus content as we work on putting Ostium Season 6 together. We're continuing with our Behind the Ostium series as we go in depth with the making and discussion of how each episode of Ostium came to be, as well as much more. I am joined by Dwayne Farver, a big fan of the show and creator of the spin off podcast Manifestations. If you enjoy the Behind the Ostium series, you can get full access to over 50 episodes right now by supporting Team Ostium on Patreon at patreon.com/ostiumpodcast. You'll also get access to a bunch of other bonus content on there too. Once again, that's patreon.com/ostiumpodcast. We'll continue working on getting Ostium Season 6 ready for release in 2022, but for now, sit back and enjoy another episode of Behind the Ostium.
On to episode 18, People in Glass Houses. So this was jumping then from the past now up to a new and distant future, and me wanting to talk about the Dyson sphere, which is basically harnessing the energy of a star or sun, and it's usually a very, very advanced civilization. We're talking, for us, it would be, I think, in the hundreds of thousands of years in the future, to be able to harness that much energy. So it was, again, a chance for me to play with the sci-fi genre, have the geeky characters who, like me, also love all that stuff, kind of have fun in it, and also just to play around with this concept of something that can use this much energy and support a whole living system that way. And again, because I was going into the future, I wanted to do a kind of different future. So I used a different element, changed the look of the kind of station they're on and things like that. And again, it was in this episode, because it was following off after the last one, I was bringing the things up to a kind of breaking point. I do remember struggling with the name of the episode, People in Glass Houses, and it's a play on people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, but also the idea of the fragility of glass, the fragility of each of the characters at this point, the idea that they're also in this metal sphere that's sitting on this giant star that, potentially could go off at any second and just destroy everything. You have an event where Jake and Monica see the the display of Jake and what he had done when he'd saved all the people. That seems at an almost impossibility for each of the characters. They never could have imagined seeing that. And so for both of them, it puts them to a breaking point, and Jake even more so that he kind of loses it and starts to go off the deep end, and Monica has to take control of things. So again, like with the last episode where I'd set it at a certain point, this was the one where we tip them over the edge of the cliff and take them to a kind of new place.
Yeah, Jake as the savior of humanity was a note that I had made, looking at the photos and referencing the people of Catalina, and how when Monica tells her story and Jake realizes it seems like it's missing information.
Not adding up, right?
About I think anybody would consider themselves a sci-fi geek or nerd would know what a Dyson sphere is. I think you did a really good job of explaining in story what it was. The first time I had heard of one was in the book Ringworld by Larry Niven, where a ring world would be like an intermediary step to build.
Doesn't Jake mention him? I think he name drops him, doesn't he?
I think he does.
Yeah. He's listing some, yeah. Does he? And he mentions Star Trek, I think, too. That was the other one I was thinking of with, I can't remember which series it was, with Scotty, isn't it?
The Next Generation, they find Scotty trapped in some kind of a recursive loop in the transporter, yeah.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. And I may have it in this episode, and it may not be actually happen till the next, but Jake has the private recording where there's missing memories, like
I think that's actually a couple. I want to say that's close to that might be in the finale. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's from
Okay.
this episode though.
But yeah, because of what happens in the final episode. Yeah,
that's right.
Recapping, but yeah, it's in this. I don't know why you'd be confused.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, but it happens
time travel
when he reaches this point
to follow along. Yeah, but yeah, this is where I remember personally at this time I was like, all right, Monica is not at all does not at all have Jake's best interest at heart. She's completely manipulating him. There's nothing good going on here.
And you're going to need a good reason to convince you why, right?
Yes. Because up until this point, I was like, no, there's something she knows that she can't tell him yet, But I think it was at this point that I was like, no. And I think there was a lot of back and forth, though. It ebbed and flowed.
I will say, as of right now, it's not written. My notes for season 6, I do have the storyline of this museum display piece being resolved, like what the story is behind that. My plan is in season 6 to actually explain that.
Just explain it, or
I don't know yet. I haven't written it yet.
Okay.
But it'll give you the background on what happened there. It'll answer some questions, put it that way.
Okay,
if I get to it.
That works.
We'll see. I haven't got rid of it yet. I might just ask more questions. We'll see when I get to
it. It'll answer some and probably ask several more.
And then give you another book load to look forward to.
Yes. And the final thing I have for this is this was released on April 21st, 2018. And on April 28th, 2018, I was assigned door 129 as my
And that's where it all started.
That's where I finally went and what's Patreon? And looked at that.
And then it was all good times after that. Cool.
Definitely.